You know, David always wants to know I'm ready. I just want to reiterate. I'm always ready.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let's keep this really simple. My name's Stuart Brisgell. That's David Solomon. We're going to have a simple introduction. Welcome to the Rant Network. This is a go-to podcast that's unapologetic discussions hosted by the two of us. We tackle a diverse range of topics with candid conversation and bold opinions, whether it's breaking down the nuttiness, insanity, culture, debating politics, or delving into extremely complex issues of modern life. This is a platform for just that. So grab a seat, settle in, and join us on yet another thought-provoking discussion. Welcome to the Rant Network, where nothing is off limits. You know, we have been talking about a lot of the same topics since October the 8th. We were talking about politics before that with some osprey. But now we're kind of hung up on the world needing to understand the world's problem. You pick and choose your friends based off of what? Quality, character, even use. You keep your friends that are good to you, that can give you substance equally as much as you keep those that are just good to you because you're friends. You help each other. But at the end of the day, there's a purpose to that relationship. Israel is a country that's 75 years old. It's been at war since the day it existed and probably has the most formidable army considering its size on the planet. It has a type of security that every country envies, whether it's finding out incidents and information or whether it's conquering and destroying without the massive carnage of the big brothers and sisters throughout the world. What do I mean? Israel notifies an entire area that we're going to blow the shit out of this area and specifically blows up certain buildings, maybe even certain units in buildings. So targeting, where the U.S. government would blanket bomb Baghdad, Iraq, through 90 Desert Storm 1 or Desert Storm 2, Israel, with precision and accuracy, does the same job without the same carnage. However, they get blamed for being this horrible entity. There's no country on earth that feeds the people that it's attacking other than Israel. There's no country held to a standard above and beyond the Geneva Convention where their opponent isn't doing anything of the sort. In fact, everything against the sort. Yet their standards are not enough for the world stage. If you look at your cell phone, if you look at your medicine that you take, if you look at the device you're listening and watching us on, chances are it's due to developments all from Israel. And countries need to start realizing that their best partner on the planet has been Israel the entire time. David?
You know, Stuart, you're right. The unfortunate thing is that their blindness to hate is off the charts, but it's backfiring. And I'll give you a couple of examples, Stuart. So if you are into beauty cosmetics, you may have heard of Huda Beauty, carried by Sephora. Huda Katan is the CEO and founder of Huda, and her latest statement was all of the conspiracies coming out and a lot of evidence behind them that Israel's been behind World War I, World War II, September 11th, October 7th. They allowed all this stuff to happen. Is this crazy? And what Stuart said at the beginning was that the reestablishment, the rebirth of Israel happened in 1948, 77 years ago. But she's blaming Israel for World War I and World War II. So this whole thing is like this. Sephora is now, being outed by the community at large, not just the Jewish community, but the community at large, saying, if you're going to carry this person's line, we're not shopping by at Sephora. We don't want to support a person who is promoting hate, false information, which I will repeat again and again through this rant, this whole anti-Semitism, it's all fiction, made up. And this is what's happening right now as we see more and more of this made up stuff being rolled out. Give you another example. The whole notion that the LGBT community in Palestine favor, there's a love affair with them. And we've talked about this, and I'm going to repeat it for the simple reason that on, what's happening this weekend here in Montreal. But it's a fascinating thing to believe that Jews hate gay people. Israel hates gay people. And that the only thing to do is to support Palestine, because Palestinians, we have a comparable cause. Another set of lies, another set of fiction. And the Pride organizers here in Montreal denied Jews and Iranians, as I said in the previous rant, to march this Sunday as part of Pride. Well, guess what? Sponsors, politicians got on them and said, what are you doing? Another set of lies, another set of it's complete fact. And it backfired on them. And this is what's happening. Backfired. Now, there's a backlash. There's a whole other group, another group who wants to continue to push this notion that Israel is this genocidal country and this and that. And again, no evidence. In fact, the evidence shows Russia is committing genocide, not Israel. You don't commit genocide by sending in aid. You don't commit genocide by sending in millions and millions of pallets. But then you go to places like Russia or parts of Africa where there are true famines, are true genocides, but we're going to ignore it. And this is also starting to backfire in the community at large. Not as much, but we are starting to hear the backlash. The great backlash, Stuart, that I'm starting to hear, and I'm really happy to hear this, is this notion that Israel is going to buckle to international pressure. And this is the thing. Israel's rebirth happened in 1948. A few months before her rebirth, on November 29th, 1947, the Arabs were offered a strip of land bigger than what the Jews were offered to split the land into a two-state solution.
Yep.
The Arabs denied. The Arabs rejected. The Arabs told Jews, we're going to come after you and we're going to erase you from the earth, and told Arabs, leave your home, because when we raise the land, you can come back in and you're going to get all these wonderful homes. Well, they didn't. And they've been sitting in camps, these, refugee camps, for generations. No other population has not been resettled. They all resettled refugees like that, except the Palestinians. They couldn't settle in Jordan. They couldn't settle in Egypt. They couldn't settle in Lebanon. They couldn't settle anywhere. They were stuck in camps.
Why
and
is
they're
that?
Still there.
Why is that, David?
Why is that? Because they're being used as political. They're used as political pawns. And now finally, there's this awakening going, why not? Why not? Bella Hadid, according to the UN, UNRWA, Bella Hadid is a refugee. Like, you got to be kidding me. She's no Palestinian refugee. But that's the definition that they've used strictly and only for the Palestinians. Iran tried to derail the Middle East by attacking Israel on October 7th through her proxies, through Hamas and through Hezbollah and the Houthis and Iraqis. And we've talked about this. And this backfired. Israel annihilated most of Hamas, decapitated literally the leadership in both Hamas and Hezbollah. We're seeing the Houthis getting their butts whooped. And now what's happened? The Lebanese government wants to disarm Hezbollah in Lebanon. And then on top of that, the world is trying to force Israel into an unrealistic two-state solution. So what has happened? Well, Israel reportedly has told the UK, well, if you want to play that game, we're going to play a different game with you. We're going to withhold intelligence that you need desperately to keep your society safe. Now, you could say what you want about MI5, MI6, but they're nowhere near as good as the Israeli Mossad. And imagine, if you will, now all of a sudden, you're not going to advise the UK of potential terror attacks on home soil.
But David, very good point. Why would England have an issue where something from Israel would be relevant source of information? Could it be because they allowed in all the colonial countries' residents to take status in England, and as a result, they have their own home-baked jihadism and revolution going on within their own borders?
Listen, we know what's going on in the UK, France, Canada, and other countries where they've allowed immigrants to come into their country and who have taken over. Watch one video after another of these people saying, we are here to conquer, we're not here to settle. We're here to take over and bring in Sharia law. There's a belief that they're pushing that Islam will take over Christianity in the Western world, whether it's through birth or immigration or just simple violence.
I got a dumb question for you, David. If it's so great with Sharia law in Iran, Iraq, and all these countries,
you ask this question every time.
Why are they coming to America?
You ask because what they're accusing Israel of is what they're doing. They're conquering. They're coming to conquer your land. They're not here to settle. Now, you're going to say, I'm generalizing. Yeah, I am. And there's a lot of people who are here because they want to get away from the hate and they want to get away from the terror and they want to get away from that. But you have entire movements who are here for one purpose and one purpose only, to cause problems. So now if Israel isn't your friend, now Stuart started this whole rant by talking about the technology and the medicines and the green tech and everything that Israel's provided the world that has made this a better place. And if you go to a town called Herzliya, which is just outside of Tel Aviv, and you see every technology company there has an R&D facility because Israel produces some of the great technologies that you and I are using. Listen, if your website is on Wix, guess what? If you're using Waze in your car, guess what? So just to give you an idea.
How about a USB drive?
USB drive, which is
using any of the chats. How about if the irrigation system that produces most of our food today calls drip irrigation? So if you're an environmentalist, drip irrigation has been the cure. How about pill cams that go through your intestines? How about all the medical advancements that have headed right out of that small little sliver of land? It's insane.
The whole thing is that right now the world is sitting here trying to force Israel. And I'll give you one, into to submission. Look, the media's tried. They've staged photos. They've staged all kinds of things. The Time cover that you see all these women with their, it was staged. They have pictures to show how it was staged, floating around. The media got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Yep. They tried to nail Israel, and they got caught. So here's what's going to happen now. Number one, Netanyahu has instructed the army to allow independent journalists to go into Gaza.
With or without escorts?
Good luck. I don't know.
Why don't listen, if they're such a fan of this Hamas government, why don't they go and get toured around with them?
Well, that's what they're going to do, and they're going to see an ugly side of it. But the reality is if right now, since October 7th, all the major guys have been riding with Israel and the Israeli army in a very secure manner. Wishing you the best of luck. You guys want independent journalists? Good luck with that. Because what you've done is you've had the chance. You've had the chance to report properly. You didn't. And now it's going to backfire on you. Because people are starting to listen more and more and going, no. This is all BS. You stage these things. You staged the photos, for crying out loud. You're using Al Jazeera as your source. People are waking up to the realization that the media has been lying. Okay, to when Donald Trump is in the Oval Office and saying we have a bigger problem in Ukraine than we do in the Middle East, and the media only wants to focus on the so-called Palestinian problem. Wakey. But the notion that Israel is pushing back now and saying, well, we've realized we don't have anybody to negotiate with. So if the world really wants us to create a two-state solution, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to take over Gaza, because we have no choice to go back in since 2005. There hasn't been a, quote, occupation of Gaza since 2005. Israel walked away. Billions of dollars were funneled into the Gaza to build this infrastructure that was now called the 500 miles of tunnels underneath. Did you take one child, one woman into the tunnels to protect them during a bombing? No, you left them up on the top so that they can die. and then you distorted the truth, and people you use the media as your propaganda machines. All of this is now backfiring because Israel is now gonna go in and take over all of Gaza. And you could blame her and you can accuse her and you could say whatever you want. But the more Hamas digs in their heels and refuses to release the hostages and negotiate in good faith, not this bullshit that they continue to claim that Israel is not negotiating. The reason Israel took more and more prisoners is because they knew they would have to negotiate to trade them for the hostages. So you're going to tell me you're going to trade 1,000 prisoners for one hostage? You think you're going to get Hamas is delusional and it's backfiring. So while Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron and my idiot Carney prime minister stand up and tell Israel what to do and how to do it, it continues to backfire on Hamas and on these countries. So wakey, people, your plan has failed.
Let's hope it's failed. David, that brings this episode to a wrap. Thank you, everybody, for joining in for another episode of the Rant Network. We truly appreciate you tuning in and sharing your time. And your support in these engagements means the world to foster an open, honest, thought-provoking conversation. Don't forget, we're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern, plus throughout the week on our little snips that we throw up all over the place. Please grab them. If you like what you hear, please go to our website, take a listen. We'd love the support. And yes, David,